cellars, wood-panelled lounges, and bedrooms suitable for a queen. My suggestion was met with silence in the car. I wasn't sensing a great deal of enthusiasm from either of them. "They're all in towns close to Edin. There might be a cafe open in one of them, and it's on the way back to Calais anyway, via the scenic route," I continued. Tempted by the prospect of a local cafe that might serve hot food, the unhappy men caved in to my suggestion. We drove for 30 minutes and arrived in a town that had a single road and a town hall, but no cafe. The house for sale was in a semi-derelict state. In the next town, there were just a few houses on a single road. On peering through the windows of the apparently fit-for-royalty house, we could see that the walls, ceiling, and even the doors were covered in hideous 1970s linoleum. It looked like a serial killer's den. The last house was in a tiny village with no shops, no bars, and no sign of life. I was starting to think that driving here to view a house we didn't want and couldn't afford, even though it cost less than an Hermes handbag, was probably a bit mad. By now, both Dad and Mark were seriously fed up. I got out of the car to peer through a broken gate set into an unattractive concrete wall. Behind the wall was a very long and low detached farmhouse-style building with drab grey walls and a concrete block extension. Paint was peeling from the windows and door, and the rain, pelting down on the moss-covered roof, spilled over gutters and gushed from a broken drain pipe. The rain-sodden front garden was filled with piles of broken bricks and rubble. The house looked abandoned. "Let's just go," said Dad. But just as I turned to get into the car, the rain stopped, and a beam of sunlight broke through the dark clouds. A man came out of the house and asked in English if he could help us. The church bells in the village started to ring, and I heard ducks quacking loudly close by. I didn't know it then, but it was the sound of fate. The Englishman told us that the house was his daughter's, and he was there to check it wasn't leaking too much. He invited us in for a cup of tea and to look around what was essentially a shell of a house. The wind howled through holes in the bare concrete walls and roof, and the floors had a strange tackiness to them. The house was dank, cold, and smelled stale. The bathroom was nothing more than a filthy shower cubicle on the hall landing, and the loo was in a corner of the kitchen. "This house is not fit to live in," Dad declared as he pulled at a bit of rotting wood on the kitchen door frame. But as I peered out of the kitchen window that looked over a huge garden with wild birds flitting about, I saw fields beyond that stretched out as far as the eye could see, and a church spire in the distance. I felt a pull on my heartstrings. I had a vision of myself growing vegetables and fruit. I could see beyond the ugly rooms to admire the beautiful old oak beams that held up the ceilings, and the ancient flintstone wall that ran across one of the downstairs rooms. I realised that I'd been hit by what the French call a coup de foudre, a lightning bolt, or love at first sight. I could feel my heart beating wildly. I just knew that this neglected old dump had huge potential and was waiting for the right family to come along and bring it back to life. I also knew, then and there, that the family would be me and Mark. I went home in a daze. Mark was unsure about taking on such a huge project, and we discussed for hours what it would mean to buy the house and whether we could really afford it. As we talked more about the building's potential and what we could do to restore it, Mark's builder instincts kicked in. A week later, we put in an offer, and it was accepted. We sold Mark's beloved Jaguar to pay the deposit and adjusted to a reality of no holidays or treats while we poured everything into a fund for the necessary building work and repairs. 4 months after we first set eyes on it, the French farmhouse was ours, and we have been renovating ever since. Quite why I fell head over heels for a house with metal doors that flapped in the wind and rattling windows sometimes mystifies me. I'm not sure how I managed to block out the state of the building and focus on the fact that it had an acre of garden, admittedly unkempt and complete with a sheep. I'd watched those TV shows, the ones where they take a...